Hi everybody, welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host Micah. Today we're talking about UFC on versus 5 or Hardy versus Lytle, whichever way you'd like to put it. So here on Cage Minds, start at the bottom, work my way all the way through the fight card, all of the fights, give you a little preview, give you a quick prediction. At the end, I'll give you a more precise prediction at the end of the episode. So we're going to start off with the first fight, and that pits Edwin Figueroa. He's 7-1, taking on the 20-2 Jason Reinhardt. Figueroa is making his second bout stoppage in the UFC. His first one, he was a last-minute replacement to take a fight with Michael McDonald. Got dominated, lost a 3-round unanimous decision. Reinhardt, on the other hand, this is his third bout in the UFC and his third weight class. From lightweight to featherweight, now dropping down to bantamweight. He's primarily a wrestler, a jiu-jitsu fighter, trains in Las Vegas with Vanderlei Silva's team. Figueroa is a Dallas, Texas fighter. He's a stand-up Muay Thai brawler who has some submissions up his belt. I think he's going to have a formula to beat Reinhardt, also show us what a full training camp under his belt can do for him. My pick is Edwin Figueroa. The next fight is Jacob Christmas Volkman, who's 12-2, versus the 11-3 Danny Castillo. Castillo's a member of Team Alpha Male. Volkman is very much a great grappler with a submission game, 6 submission victories to his credit. He's also made news publicly for his criticism of President Obama. Had his mind outside of fighting. Back to fighting, he's a grappler. His opponent is a grappler. Are you looking for a striking battle? It might come there if they can nullify each other's grappling. We could see a striking battle. Do we really expect to see it greatly? No, but that should be the defining moment of the fight, is who can throw the crisper, faster, straighter punches without the loopingness, who has the better technique. From the training, from their experience within the octagon, the experience advantage, I definitely like to give to Castillo. His last victory was over former UFC champion Joe Stevenson. I'm liking Castillo. The training partners with Team Alpha Male, the experience. The next fight is Cole Miller, who's 17-5, versus the 16-4 Spider, TJ O'Brien. These are both submission grappling artists. Most of their wins in both of their careers have come via the submission. For Mr. Miller, it is 12. For O'Brien, he has 15. Both men like the submission. So again, I like each other's best to be canceled out by each other. We're going to see hopefully primarily a striking battle. Miller's a member of American Top Team, always improvement. We've seen him finish off guys with strikes. I'm liking him to be more well-rounded in this bout. That takes us next to Bruce Leroy, Alex Charis, who is 5-3 versus the debuting Jimmy Hetz, 8-0. Hetz is primarily a grappler. Charis is unpredictable, unorthodox with his striking. We've seen him on The Ultimate Fighter. We've also seen that he doesn't like grapplers, wrestlers, guys on top of him. I think Hetz can put together the perfect formula to have a great debut and take the victory over Charis. That takes us to a light heavyweight battle between Carlos Vimal, who's 9-1, and the debuting Ronnie Marks, who's 11-1, but he's a Brazilian. I may have said his name wrong. It may be Yanni Marquez. If I get this wrong, I am so sorry. Vimal is from England. He's a ground and pound kind of guy, a big, heavy wrestler, has to cut down to 205 to make weight, looks like a power lifter. Marks, I've watched some video on him. He looks like he has some Muay Thai, some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he is able to be taken down. He does get put on his back every so often. He's explosive, but I think Vimal will have the right combination of takedowns and strength. And also, it's going to be the biggest, I think, 205er he's ever fought. So it's going to be hit harder than he ever has, and I think that'll be a deciding factor when he's on the bottom of ground and pound. So I like Carlos Vimal in that fight. A fight that I'm really looking forward to see is Ed Short Fuse Herman, who's 18-7, taking on Kyle Noke, 19-4. Herman, a season 3 Ultimate Fighter finalist. Herman was also on the last Ultimate Fighter finale show. It was his last win off of a 13-month layoff. A big finish in the first round of Tim Crater. Kyle Noke is also a former alumni of the Ultimate Fighter from season 11, a very well-rounded fighter. He has good submissions, good TKOs. He's been in there with some of the best that Australia has to offer and around the world. He's training out of Team Jackson's. Noke has lost to great wrestlers before, but against good overall guys, he does good. I don't know if Herman has the takedowns to really control this bout. I like Kyle Noke in a decision. Joseph Benavidez is 14-2, taking on the 18-7-1 Eddie Wilin. Benavidez is going to primarily need to rely on his speed, getting in, getting out, quick takedowns to nullify the striking of Eddie Wilin. Wilin, no matter where this fight goes, if he's standing, which every round starts off standing, he has the KO power to end this. He's a former champion in his own right. He has 9 KOs and 5 submissions. Benavidez is a member of Team Alpha Male. Again, the training partners, the training camp, the techniques, the improvements every time we see him. Definitely a top 3 bantamweight. I'm liking Joseph Benavidez to continue the wave of momentum he has against everyone except Dominic Cruz. That takes us to CB Dollaway, who's 12-4, taking on Jared Hamman, who's 12-3. Dollaway, another former alumni of the Ultimate Fighter. He's an Arizona State wrestler. He trains with Ryan Bader, and he has a good submission game. Hamman, this is his debut at middleweight, a 205er. His last bout out, lost to Kyle Kingsbury, pretty much got dominated. But I look for him to have drastic improvements with the weight cut, with being the bigger man in the octagon, hopefully better takedown defense. He has some lethal hands, heavy. I look for him to surprise us all and have a victory in his debut at middleweight over Dollaway. A fight that I'm not, again, really looking forward to see. It's going to be a stand-up war. Amir Sadala, who's 6-2, takes on Dwayne Bang Ludwick, a true veteran at 28-11. Sadala is Ultimate Fighter Season 7 winner. He's won 4 out of his last 5. As where Ludwick, the striker, with tremendous heart, has won 4 of his last 7, primarily winning most of his fights by TKO or KO. A tough veteran, really like the Denver-based fighter. But Sadala, always improving. At this point in their career, at this age, and their time that they've spent within mixed martial arts, I think Sadala has shown vast more improvements on his ground game, on his takedowns, on his jiu-jitsu. He's not just only a Muay Thai fighter. Hurts me to say it because I like Ludwick a lot, but I think Amir Sadala is going to win this one. Just more well-rounded everywhere. Another bout that I'm really looking forward to see pits Charles the Bronx Oliveira. He's 14-1 with 1 no contest against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He's 15-3 with 1 no contest. Oliveira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu phenom. Has crazy submissions. He's a pretty small, long-limbed 155er. And I'm thinking that he's taking on a big, long-limbed 155er in Cerrone, that this bout will be much like Cerrone's last out against Wagner Roca, where he's keeping it where he wants to. Does it go to the ground? No. Cerrone is a kickboxer. He's going to keep it standing. He has vicious leg kicks. I think he's going to take out the base from Oliveira. I see this fight going all the way, though, but I like Cerrone in the decision. That takes us up to the co-main event of the night, and probably flat out the best fight of the card. Jim Miller is 20-2, and he's taking on former WEC champion Ben Smooth Henderson, who's 13-2. Miller is the New Jersey-based fighter on a 7-fight win streak, just waiting for his chance at a lightweight title shot, with Frankie Edgar and Gray Mater needing to sort out their differences, and Miller only having lost to both of those gentlemen in his career. A 7-fight win streak. Every time we see him, he's much improved. If you thought he's going to lose, you've been wrong. Ben Henderson has only lost to Anthony Pettis and one other veteran really early in his career. He made a spectacular debut at UFC 129 in Toronto, just dominating Mark Boch. Mark Bocek, is a great person for us to talk about because he's the one person, a common opponent in both of these men histories. But I think that the time that he fought Jim Miller was so long ago. Miller is just way advanced past that. People keep bringing it up that Henderson did better against Bocek. I don't think that's really going to matter as to every time that we count out Jim Miller. he seems to rise to the occasion. I think he's the better grappler, the better submission grappler, and has the better experience. As for Ben Henderson, he has the better striking, and he has so much potential and athleticism that you can't just count him out. This fight can go either way. I think it's going to go down, and it's going to go all the way. I don't see either men being finished, but I'm taking Jim Miller in this bout. It takes us all the way up to the main event, where we have Dan the Outlaw Hardy, 23-9-1, versus Chris Lights Out Lytle, who's 40-18-4. Dan Hardy is truly fighting for his UFC career at this point. 3 consecutive losses. Georges St. Pierre, a knockout loss to Carlos Condit, and a decision loss to Anthony Johnson. Not looking good in any of these fights. As to where Chris Lytle was on the upward path towards a title shot, great bouts, several in a row, and then he ran into Brian Embersol's debut. Brian Embersol, the unorthodox fighter, took the unanimous decision from Chris Lytle. Lytle is a former professional boxer. Hardy is a striker. This is just what Hardy needs. Lytle is a fan favorite of everyone's for his passion to get Fight of the Night bonuses, to stand there to bang, to make this exciting for us, the fans. But to well round out both their games, neither of these men are going to be throwing many kicks. But if needed, Lytle has more takedown ability, as we've seen previously, and more submissions in his arsenal than does Hardy. For Dan Hardy, hopefully he's been really diligent about wanting to save his career. I've heard he's out in Vegas training with Roy Nelson, who's a tremendous jiu-jitsu and wrestler technician. Hopefully that will rub off on Hardy. Hopefully this will be a much better fight than a lot of people are predicting. I think it can be. Dan Hardy still swings hard and swings for the fences. If he connects, it can still be over. Realistically, Chris Lytle has been in there with a lot of people, has a boxing background. I don't see him being that careless. I see Chris Lytle being victorious in this fight. So we're going to go back all the way through now and give you a more precise prediction. I like Edwin Figueroa to take a victory with a first-round KO, stopping Jason Reinhardt. Danny Castillo and Mr. Volkman will go all the way, and I think it's going to be a unanimous decision victory for Castillo. Cole Miller, a third-round rear naked choke. I think he's going to land a heavy strike that's going to take this to the ground and then get the submission. I like for Jimmy Hetz with an impressive debut to get a unanimous decision victory. Carlos Vermal with a first-round TKO. I believe it's going to go to the ground quick, and he's going to hit hard. Kyle Noke in a split decision victory. It'll be a very entertaining fight with him and Ed Herman. Joseph Benavidez, I think he'll pull out a unanimous decision victory when it's all said and done versus the dangerous striker Eddie Wilin. Jared Hamman, I'm thinking that he's going to be more powerful, stronger. He's going to show even more speed and power in his heavy hands. I'm hoping for a TKO in the second round of CB Dollaway. Amir Sadallah and Dwayne Ludwick should put on a great striking battle. I'm pretty sure, though, it's going to go the distance, and I like Sadallah to get a unanimous decision victory. The Cowboy Donald Cerrone, I'm looking for a unanimous decision striking battle from him, too. I'm going to take Jim Miller by split decision because anything can happen between him and Ben Henderson. In our main event, I like Chris Lytle to take a unanimous decision victory, primarily striking, but some takedowns to win the rounds just to help his cause. That's been my predictions for UFC versus 5. This has been Cage Minds. Thanks, everybody. Bye.